It's time for useful technologies that were eliminated simply because they worked too well. How corporations ended public transit. 100 years ago, the U.S. had one of the best public transport systems in the world. Electric streetcars were clean, cheap, and efficient. Why buy a car for thousands of dollars when you could ride a tram for pennies? The automobile industry saw this as a massive threat. In the 1930s, auto giants secretly funded a shadow corporation called National City Lines. While some historians argue that the decline of streetcars was a result of changing economic trends, there is significant evidence suggesting a more calculated effort. The goal was simple: stop the trams rather than improve them. And their solution? They went from city to city, buying as many privately owned streetcar systems as they could and doing nothing about them. They didn't upgrade the cars, they didn't maintain the tracks, and sometimes they even ripped them out. Then came the lobbying job. They tricked city councils into replacing smooth electric rails with big, loud buses running on gas. Produced by one of the founders, obviously. The quiet hum of electricity was replaced by the roar of engines. A shift in city transport infrastructure was forced. It became slow, uncomfortable, and left people with no choice. They had to buy cars, tires, and gas. Guess from whom? Within 20 years, streetcars were gone. Instead, the U.S. got traffic jams, smog, and cities designed for cars. The founders of National City Lines were eventually found guilty of conspiracy, but comparing the $5,000 fine to what they actually earned sounds like a joke. The fabric that lasted too long. While cities were being dismantled, other companies figured out how to break the products inside your home. In 1940, a miracle material was invented: nylon. Marketed as strong as steel, the first nylon stockings were pretty much indestructible. You could tow a car with them and they wouldn't tear. Sales went wild, but the manufacturer soon realized a terrifying truth. Once a woman bought a pair, she didn't need another one for years. The market was saturating because the product was simply too good. According to many industry accounts, this presented a major crisis for the business model. You probably know what happened next. The company ordered scientists back to the lab to reverse engineer their own invention. They deliberately changed the formula and weakened the fibers to make the material fragile. Sounds familiar? It worked perfectly. Today, the average pair of pantyhose lasts just a few uses before it ends up in a trash bin. It was one of the first documented cases of planned obsolescence, where innovation is often argued to be used not to make things better, but to make sure they break right on schedule. Drinking water was a basic public right. For centuries, free public fountains were a sign of every civilized society. But then came the 1970s and the invention of the plastic bottle. The task for beverage companies was to sell water to people, even though they could have it for free. Marketing hit first. They ran ads scaring people, claiming tap water was dirty or unsafe, even when it was perfectly clean. Second, the lobby. They pushed for cuts in municipal budgets. In many cases, cities began to prioritize other infrastructure projects, but this shift allowed fountains to fall into disrepair. They stopped maintaining the fountains and let the pipes rust. They removed them to save space. Artificial scarcity was created. Forget about outside bottles and free water in public stadiums and concert halls. Taps were turned off. And the result? Now it is estimated that we pay around 2,000 times the price of tap water for the honor and privilege of drinking from a plastic bottle. It's hard to imagine, But these days, even water has become a competitor in the market. The disappearing public toilets. It wasn't just drinking water that disappeared from public spaces. It was also the places to get rid of it. 70 to 80 years ago, free public restrooms were standard municipal infrastructure. You didn't need to pull out your wallet to wash your hands or answer a call of nature. But as cities looked to cut maintenance budgets, often driven by broader economic shifts, they slowly demolished public facilities or locked them away. The responsibility was quietly shifted to the private sector. Today, if you are walking through a city and need a restroom, you are forced to become a customer. You have to find a coffee shop, wait in line, and buy an overpriced latte just to look at your receipt for a bathroom passcode. Doesn't it look like putting basic human biological function behind a paywall? Illegal rainwater collection. You might think water falling from the sky is at least free. Not everywhere. Several U.S. states, collecting rainwater on your own property was, and sometimes still is, effectively illegal. It comes from an old law called prior appropriation, meaning river water belongs to whoever claimed it first, often a century ago. While these laws were originally designed to manage water scarcity in dry regions, critics argue that authorities took it a step further, arguing that rain falling on your roof is already destined for that river. Therefore, putting a barrel under your roof makes you a thief stealing from the state. It sounds ridiculous, but authorities actually sent inspectors to private properties to issue fines. One man from Oregon was even sentenced to 30 days in jail just for catching rain on his own land. While laws are slowly changing, it's a stark reminder of how easily a free